Yes. Your Excellency, Governor, I think the debate has started, and the discussion should shift from whether to devalue or not to devalue as to what are the implications of the absence of an exchange rate policy. An exchange rate is a number. It's like a multiple choice question. Answer can be 250, 200, 190. Even by the time you finish that, that rate becomes into disequilibrium. So the debate is that, do you have an exchange rate policy? And if you don't have one, what are the consequences? There's a big difference between economic drama and economic reality. You see, the difference between intellectual depth and comedy is that you can have all the sound bites. At the end of the day, people still have to go to the market to find out, one, can I find the dollars and at what price, and is it available? In this country, 10, 15 years ago, you had Western Union, you had MoneyGram, you had all of these people. These people were bringing money into Nigeria. Nigerian diaspora have $21 billion every year in earnings, which can come in here. Why are they not bringing it in this year? The central bank tells us that they disbursed over $8 billion to BDCs in the past few years. Who are the BDCs? The question is, you see, the question remains that if I'm a manufacturer and you give me an approval to bring in money today, to bring in goods, I have two decisions to make. Bring in the goods at $199, manufacture it and sell it into the market at $199, or price those goods at $301 because that price is already factored into the market. Or two, bring the money in, rather than bring raw materials, I open an LC and bring in nothing. Go across the road and sell the dollars which I brought for $199 at $300. Make a 50% gain. I don't have to employ anybody. So that is what is happening. As we speak, there are people who are peddling that they can bribe people within certain agencies in Nigeria and they'll get approval. There's no certainty as to whether when you apply for your foreign exchange, when you will get it. The system is being abused and corrupted. And some of the people sitting down here today are saying this, they want the policy to remain the same because they can continue to abuse and steal the money under the guise that they are protecting the currency. In 2008, there are people who move money out of this country in anticipation of the devaluation, only to bring it back in to make a killing in this country. The governor and I were on the committee set up by President Yar'Adua, and I know, and we all know, that some people knew that the currency was going to move from 118 down to 165. They moved money out of the country, brought it back, and made a killing in this country. So the devaluation debate is not as apolitical as people want to decide. They have vested interests in keeping the currency at one point or the other. And they will pretend under any other guise to say that they are saving Nigeria. The narrative is not about economic patriotism, it's about competitiveness. Whether you like it or not, you will have to provide a currency in an import-dependent economy. But the question remains that when we are talking about currency flexibility, it doesn't mean that it must always depreciate. Currencies do appreciate. If you look at, and the central bank was very clear, in the years 1987, we depreciated by 49%, no, 76%. We then depreciated by 42% in 1992, 76% in 1999, 20% in 2009, and so on. But after those years, when the price of oil went up, did we allow the currency to appreciate? The surpluses that were created were stolen. So when you talk about currency flexibility, prices go up and down. But here we think that there's a perpetual downward slide that the currency must devalue. The central bank is not going to manufacture dollars. They can only manage the dollars that are within their purview. But a system, a policy, without a policy, you end up with nothing. And I said, the schools of thought we have are: one, do nothing, add more restrictions, supply of our exports are not exchange rate sensitive, therefore even if you devalue the currency, oil will not change and you will not export more. But your imports are exchange rate sensitive. Therefore, if you make the price more expensive, people will demand less because they are rational agents. You can do that. You can also manage what they call a managed floating rate, which is what is done all over the world. And you see your currency moving. When you're under pressure, it depreciates. When it's after that, it appreciates. In South Africa, a year ago, it was 10 rand to $1. Today, it's 16 rand to $1. In the European Union, in 2009, it was $1.47 to 1 euro. It came down as much as $1.09 for a euro. We are surrounded by these countries which Mr. Tule talked about. Those currencies are pegged to the euro. When the euro moves, the CFA changes in its value, and it affects everything that happens in this country. So I'm not, it's not by coincidence that in Ibadan University, the School of Drama was put next to the School of Social Sciences, so that after all the drama, you come back to reality, And so, in the end, whether we like it or not, we can sing all the songs we like, we can sing all the patriotic. We have two options: do something and have a policy, or do nothing. If you do nothing, what fella made in a song, and I'll quote here, the song called Palava. It said, tenant lost him job, him sit down for house, in the think of job. Mr. Landlord, come wake him up. He said, Mr. Pay me your rent. Waiting they find. The second option, if you do something, the outcome will be what R. Kelly said. Now in the midst of my battle, all hope was gone. Downtown in a rush crowd, I felt all alone. And every now and then I felt like I would lose my mind. I've been racing for years and still no finish line. But now, the storm is over. So,
thank you,
and I can see the sunshine.
Thank you. Now, the plan is that we will conclude the panel discussion at about 1:45. We will all leave here at 1. We will aim to have 10 minutes between 1:45 and 5 minutes to 1 to take 1 or 2 questions. But in the interim, I will go back to my panel. Now, what is the reality today? No one should leave here that any of the options that are before us is an easy option. My office is in Apapa. In February of last year, it will take you about 2 hours to drive from here to get to my office in Apapa. Today, it will take you about 25 minutes. You have to ask yourself, what has happened? There are no policemen, there are no soldiers. We have been trying to understand. The sense we get is that import is down between 30 to 40% as we speak. That is the reality. It is not about politics. That is where Nigeria is at today. And I would like to go back to the question that I asked before. How do we ensure that autonomous funds that have dried up almost essentially today, because we can't determine the price of oil, but we can make our country more attractive to whether foreign direct investment or the right type of foreign portfolio investment. And indeed, diaspora repatriation, which Bismarck had alluded to earlier. These are our own people, our children, who are saying when the time is right, mommy, we would send the money for that house. Now, I would like our labor leader to start on that, because he must surely, have a perspective.